Greetings, cretins! My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to hell. Welcome to Monday Q&A. That was me. That was Spider Sugar and a couple other guys saying, yo, do this. Yo, do this. Yo, do an inverted yaw spin. Yo, they said do a whale flip? What the fuck is a whale flip? What has happened to the names of the tricks in FPV? I don't pay any attention to trick life, but yeah, that was them browbeating me into trying things that I'd never do and they're not really very good at. So there's my list of excuses. Do with them as you may. Welcome to Monday Q&A. We are going to be having a propeller smackdown tonight. We're going to be taking a look at the only two good 35mm propellers. The HQ 1.4 by something or other, the HQ triblades, the new triblades, versus the Gemfan 35mm S biblades. Realistically, this is biblades versus triblades, but what makes this interesting is that this is biblades versus triblades on motors that don't really have quite enough grunt for the triblades, which is what to me, makes this interesting. In the scenario where you've got motors with a big enough stator volume, biblades versus triblades is just grip versus slidiness. This is not that. 702s. So if we were to compare 31 millimeter props, regular 1.2 inch propellers, an 0702 absolutely has the stator volume for either the HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 triblades or the HQ 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 biblades, right? And it wouldn't be as drastic of a comparison. This should be really noticeable. I really hope that you guys can see the difference between these two props. I really hope it's not just a feel thing. But there's something else that's super kind of cool here, and kind of annoying, to be honest. The HQ triblades, 1.4 inch triblades, are available in either 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. The GemFan biblades are not. So in this scenario, it's really hard to choose because so I've flown both of these propellers. So when I got all nuts about doing these 1.4 inch prop builds a couple months ago, I flew both of these propellers on different builds, right? I did those 3 or 4 different builds to compare a bunch of different motors, a bunch of different all-up weights, yada, yada, yada. And every single time I would fly a build on the biblades, it would have slightly better response time. It would be slightly more slidey. But it's a 1 millimeter motor shaft, and we break 1 millimeter motor shafts. And then I would fly the triblades on the 1.5 millimeter motor shaft, and it's like, yo, I can batter the living shit out of this thing. It's invincible. I'm never going to bend a motor shaft, right? And so, like, but you sacrifice a little bit of response time. So this is really tough, man. Like, I hope... So, but I never compared these on the same motors, and that's what we're doing tonight. I have 2 sets of Weebleed 0702 32,500 kV motors. 1 millimeter motor shaft, 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. And so for the first time ever, I'll get to really head-to-head these propellers. And to be completely honest, I hope that the triblades are... I hope that there's not that much of a difference in response time, because I would rather run the triblades and have a motor shaft that's never going to bend, right? I don't think that's going to be the case, but let's find out together. What do you say? So that's the deal. I've got 6 batteries on the charger. If you haven't flown your daily 6 batteries, what are you doing? Why would you wait until the stream? Now you got to do it and just listen? You son of a bitch. Shame. 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 Fly your 6 batteries while you're listening. There'll be nothing to see for the majority of the stream. As always, just me yammering on and on and on. Fly your 6 batteries today. Damn it, I'm going to fly mine. We're going to do 3 batteries on the tri-blade setup. I'm going to, as quickly as possible, unplug the motors, pull the AIO and canopy and everything out, drop it into this exact same frame with the exact same motors and the different props, and then we'll fly another 3. And see how it is. Kelvin flew his 6. He knows what's up. He's doing things to make himself a better pilot. I swear to God, guys, if you fly 6 batteries a day, you will be... If you fly 6 batteries a day for the rest of this month, what is it, September 8th? I shit you not. If you fly 6 batteries every single day for the rest of this month, in October, you do 6 tonight and DVR it, and then DVR it October 1st, I guarantee you'll look like a different pilot. But you got to do it every day. You really do. Like, legitimately, the 6 batteries a day thing is not just what I live stream. It's got to be every single day. If you get 20 to 25 to 30 minutes of flying in every single day, no matter what, your growth as a pilot will be very noticeable. And it will seriously be noticeable in the next, like, 3-ish weeks. So... maybe just do that for the rest of this month, right? Or maybe do it all of October. But come on, do it for the rest of this month. All you have to do is say like, okay, I'm going to do it. So many things in life. So many things in life, man. You literally just have to be like, yeah, okay. That's it. I'm going to do that now. And then like weak motivation, no motivation, doesn't matter. If you legitimately just at some point go in your own brain like, yep, it's time. I'm going to do it. That's really all it takes. So do that. Do that with this, and then do it with something else next month, and then do it with something else 2 weeks after that, and then just start doing it all the time. It's hard. It is. But you can do it. Like, think about your life. This has happened before. There have been times in your life that, like, it's usually when you have to, right? But wouldn't it be cool to do it with stuff, like, not when you absolutely have to? Says the guy that has this problem horribly, but, you know, we'll fight through it. In the chat, Kelvin Knudsen was first, FizzPV was second, Danzil, the terrible, Frank Nicholas, Madman FPV, Frosty, the Bruce, P-Money, Capital C, WJ, Michael Blade, scrolling, Whoop Fox, Kazuma, Mikey, or Mickey, one or the other. Dave S. Brent Anderson, Danzilla, Kazuman, B-Mud Skipper. What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging. Let's test some shit. Let's learn some shit. Should that be my call sign? Let's learn some shit. Joshua's is you're gonna learn something today. Should mine be let's learn some shit? It's pretty good. That would look good on like a thing up here. Like, should I just completely copy Joshua in every single way? I try not to, man. Like, sometimes I not lately, but like I used to feel like I was kind of biting on him a little bit too much, and just copying shit that he does. It makes a lot of sense to copy what he does because he's the best at what he does. But like, you know, it feels weird. Like, I consider the guy to be a really good friend. I don't want to like steal his ideas and whatnot, but you know, good artists create, better artists steal. Kelvin says, hey, if you want to talk to me in the chat, type CiottiFPV. If you want to support me so that I can keep doing this and keep telling you what to buy to have a, you know, build that flies good, go over to CiottiFPV.com, join my Patreon. That's the absolute best way that you can support me, and I really do rely on that. For $5 a month, you can join the Tinywhoop and Toothpick tier, and at some point, a package will show up in your mailbox with like $50 or $60 worth of Tinywhoop stuff. This last Monday's giveaways was a brand new set of the Tree Topper 802 33,000 kV motors, which are amazing, and a full pack of the NX69 newbie drone batteries. For $5 a month, you know, supporting me and then eventually winning a bunch of stuff kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Do it. There's also a Teespring where you can buy some fun shirts and other apparel. There's a Etsy store with all kinds of cool stuff for sale. If you haven't been on my Etsy store in a while, jump over there. There's lots of cool stuff. Every single order that gets placed comes with a Propodial. If there's a specific color that you want, because I have them in the full rainbow, just drop it in the notes. If you order something 3D printed and you pick a color, I'll ship you that same color so that it matches. And also, I'm assuming that that's your favorite color. Yeah, there you go, friends. The build for tonight's comparison is going to be in the description. I'm going to put affiliate links down in the description below so that you can mimic this build if you like the way that it flies. This is a Mobula 6 2024 version 2 with the motor plugs. I don't think they sell the version 1 anymore, so I think I can just call this Mobula 6 2024 now. It's on BT 2.0. I assume that at this point they come on, they come with an A30, which is the same thing. When this was sent to me from Happy Model, I'm pretty sure that it came with a PH 2.0. I don't know why I would have taken the A30 off and put one of these beta FPVs on there, but I'm sure if you buy this rig now, it'll come with a BT 2.0 compatible battery lead. The motors that are on here are the Weebleed 0702 32,500 kV. Right now, they're the 1.5mm motor shaft variant, by the end of the live stream, they're going to be the 1mm motor shaft variant. The propellers on this thing right now are the HQ 1.4-inch triblades. By the end of the stream, they will be the Gemfan 35mm S biblades. And then on my rig, the camera and canopy are stock. It's the FXT, and I forget the 3 digits, camera in here. It's very bright. You'll see it. It's actually all right. I don't hate this camera. If you buy this thing today, you might get the RunCam Nano 7, I think it is, camera. I tested that camera versus this one, and they look identical. And then the antenna is the TrueRC Singularity Ultra Short. On my particular rig, at some point, the UFL broke off. The UFL is dead center, and I believe I had a canopy on here that was letting the camera slam down into it. And so I think the camera smacked into the UFL and broke the UFL off the board. So I actually directed, this is why it's all janky off to the side like this. I direct soldered a TrueRC Ultra Short Singularity onto this, which is why it doesn't come through the nice little hole in the canopy here. So that's why it looks kind of jank, but hey, it is what it is. After I direct soldered it, I put a giant bead. So I originally, this AIO was originally a little RC drift car chasing rig, which is another reason why I put this particular antenna on here. At some point, I pulled it apart because I realized that the Mobula 6 2024 AIO, because it's a little bit lighter, it doesn't give you quite as clean of a video signal as the 2G4. And so it makes more sense for this to be into a freestyle build, so I put it back into a freestyle frame, and then the antenna was not, you know, that's why I had to push the antenna all off to the side like this. And so it's a little ugly, but it works. It's fine. So yeah, that's the build. There'll be affiliate links down below to it on Race Day Quads and Weebleed's website. Cool. We're gonna get caught up on chat first, knock out a bunch of Q&A, and then we'll start farting around with this. I do need to give myself a little bit of time though. I've got to fly the 3 batteries, and then I've got to take some screws out, unplug some plugs, and swap it over. So yeah, we'll get rolling on that in a little bit. Michael Blade tagged me. So again, if you want to talk to me in the chat, just type CiottiFPV. If you want to get somebody's attention, if you're having a conversation with P Money, in your messages type P space money, and for him, his name will light up in orange. You can do it for yourself. If you want to see what that looks like, type your own name into your message, and it'll light up in orange for yourself, so that you see what it looks like to be me when people type CiottiFPV into their chat messages. It's thrilling. You're not going to believe how you do it. Everybody do it right now. Everybody do it. Type your own name in. I wonder how many people are going to spell their name wrong or put the spaces in the wrong places. Michael Blade says, hey there. Danzilla the Terrible says, helicopter, helicopter. It's not good enough. Not good enough. Oh God! Why play the ads?
Why not get it down? So can you guys walk me through it?
Helicopter, helicopter.
There it is. I don't know why I love that so much. Oh man, that shit gets me every time. I can't fucking if anybody ever plays that, I'm gonna smile every time, 100% of the time. Hey, I did an entire edit today. You know what the editing was? I dragged an entire flight into Premiere with the Quadmula Siren F3 on the 1505s with the big boy 3052 props. I blasted it around the neighborhood. I was actually flying half decent. I grabbed the entire 3-minute and 20-second chunk of me flying it. I dumped it into Premiere. I cut the first 4 seconds off. I went into Spotify. I looked for a song that was the exact right length of time, found it right away, dumped that in there, put an adjustment layer, did like a couple quick adjustments, dropped my logo on the front, dropped my end credits in the back, and hit go. It's pretty good. It's a good jam. It's a song that I really dig. Yeah, it's sitting right here. If you're a patron, you're gonna get to see it probably tomorrow. I'm probably gonna put it up tomorrow for patrons. It's actually already up on. Matter of fact, Watch this. It's the naming convention is all wrong, but in patron hangout on the Discord. Wait, no, I'm gonna I can't do it on Discord. I'm gonna do a Patreon post. For being a patron, you're gonna get to watch this shit right now, and tell me if you like it. Tell me if you like it in the chat. Early access. Enjoy. Tell me what you think. Patrons. There's no thumbnail. There's no bing bong. There's nothing. Oh, and it's private. I have to make it not private. Hold on. Oh, balls. Hold up. Let me make it not private. Here, look. Look, you can even see it. Look at that. Don't you want to watch it? Give me your money and you can watch it. Wait, no, I can't put it in playlists quite yet. So we're going to go next. We are going to not monetize it. And we're going to go next. Import from video. Import from latest video. Hell yeah. There we go. You guys will not believe the motion blur in this. So this was filmed on a DJI 03. I'm really starting to get used to the 03. ND16 ND filter. And all right, so now it's unlisted. Cool. And so there you go. Isn't that exciting? It's no longer private. We're gonna go back a screen. We're gonna go create, post, and let's try this again. Embed URL. The thumbnail is gonna suck. There it is. Early access. Quadmula Siren F3 split rip. Yeah, none of the neighbors were home, and so it was just perfect timing. And yeah, I flew half decent. More settings, publish. Wait, no, we want more settings. And then we want edit. There we go. Publish. There it is. Patrons, you've got early access, my friends. Watch that shit. Turn it up. Put the headphones on. Tell me what you think. Helicopter, helicopter. You know what I'm saying? In the chat, Kelvin says 6 batteries done. There it is. We already talked about that, though. Whoop Fox says, I've been flying for 7 months at an hour a day minimum. Feels like I'm 2 years in. I mean, if you've been doing an hour a day for 7 months, you've flown more than most people that are 2 years in. So it should feel like that. Islander FPV says, yo, just watched yesterday's Mob7 O4 stream and loved it. Didn't see the new Happy Model 1102, 11,300, 11,300. Why would I say that? 13,500 kV motors mentioned as an upgrade for the bind and fly. Gives the extra power and Happy Model magical efficiency. You know, I thought that I remembered them changing the goddamn motors, but then I looked all over the internet and everywhere just said 11,000 kV, and so I went, okay, I must have misremembered it. God damn it. Yeah, so well, I will say this. The 1102s that came on that rig when I got it, I bent one of the motor shafts pretty easily. So my suggestion to move it over to 1002 RCInPower 14,000 kV motors, I think is still sound because I don't think you need the extra stator size of the 1102. That thing on those 1002 14,000s, the iFlight Defender motors, it's just awesome, man. And like, it does make a difference trying to keep the weight down on even though they're 2S rigs. Yeah, it does make a difference to keep the weight down. So, and in the video, I did very specifically say, look, the motors that the Mob7 O4 comes with are awesome. The 1102 11,000s were awesome. Now the fact that they're 13,500s is even more awesome. And so, yeah, anybody that can actually find the damn thing in stock to buy it, they're going to be happy with it. If they want the exact formula for what I flew and what I was talking about, they have to go down to the 1002s. But yeah, damn it. I looked on Happy Model's website. I looked on Pyrodrone's website. I looked on GetFPV's website. I looked everywhere I could find the goddamn Mob7 O4, and there wasn't a single place that didn't say 11,000 kV motor or 10,000, whatever the hell they are. God damn. I swore. I thought I was fucking crazy, but like, oh, man. Oh, well. Buy more shit. A set of 10. Look, if it comes with the higher kV motors and then you don't like them, but you've already ordered the 1002s, that just gives you an excuse to build a regular 75mm 1.6 inch prop one, and then you'll have two, and you'll be able to fly them even harder. So you're welcome. I justified you building another amazing two, or you do an analog build. That's the move. That's the move. So if you've already ordered your Mob7 O4 and the RCInPower 1002 14,000s, leave the 1102s that are on it, because it's 1102 and it's on the bigger 1.8 inch prop. Kind of makes sense. When you get those 1002 14,000s, build a 1.6 inch prop 75mm analog rig. Just buy a Mob7 analog with the X12. Holy shit. Those two rigs, you will just absolutely poop in a bucket. It's that good. You'll have so much fun flying that analog rig super hard and just battering the living hell out of it. And then you'll have the O4 rig that you can still fly pretty hard, but like, it'll give you, you know, you'll be able to get all your aggression and all your crashing out with the analog rig, not carrying around a $120 camera. And then you'll have the Mob7 O4 for the chocolatey HD goodness. There you go. Good consumer advice, as always. Gotta buy this shit now, because there's no telling how much longer we'll be able to buy it. In cheeseburger fascism land, Cole Power says, I love doing that. I wonder what we were talking about 8 minutes ago. He also says, that's the benefit of a good one battery. Yeah. Import to template that has your intro and outro, trim the front and back, find a good song, hit export. Yeah, that process usually takes me like 4 or 5 hours. I'm usually pretty nuts about finding a song that I'm really into at that current time and that fits the flight footage really well. I got lucky today. Rude Jude Gaming says, yo, XT30 versus BT 2.0/A30. Is it worth using the XT30 connector over the other two? That is a very odd comparison, because XT30 is really only for 2S, 3S, 4S. BT 2.0/A30 is only for 1S. So there's never a time that you would be bouncing between those two battery leads. Did you mean to ask, tag me again, did you mean to ask XT30 versus BT 3.0? You don't even have to tag me. XT30 versus BT 3.0 is super simple. BT 3.0 is significantly lighter, but your battery choice is much more limited. There are some great batteries out there, though. Tinywhoop.com has a 300 and a 450 mAh. They're both brilliant. XT30 gives you a massive battery choice, but it's heavier because the connector itself is heavier, but then also the batteries are going to have a balance lead hanging off of them. And so, yeah, if that's what you meant to ask, there you go. But the answer to your question is that you'll never have to choose between those two, because you'll never find a 1S battery with an XT30 lead. Calvin says, during the stream I opened a Flywoo package and got my Motors extra O4 light cams today, so can confirm Flywoo is shipping O4 lights. Wow, that's awesome. Very cool. How long did it take to get to you, Calvin? I believe Flywoo ships from overseas. Cole Powers says, search FPV? What about it? It's a great website that that exists. I can't. God damn it! I can't think of his name all of a sudden. A couple years ago, I had weekly calls with Joshua, and I'm the worst. CiottiFPV is a great website. Islander FPV says they still ship the Mob7 O4 with the 10,000 kV, but now they have. There we go. Okay, but now they have a HDO 2S in the M80 frame with the 1102 13,000 kV motors. Ah, cool, awesome. Yesterday's live stream was still perfect. Great. Not HDO, HD0. Interesting. That thing is gonna, so that rig is gonna fly really good because HD0, an HD0 Mobula 7 is gonna be 6 or 7 grams lighter than a Mob7 O4, and then it's gonna have those higher kV motors. That's pretty cool. I also could not find, I didn't look super hard for those motors because I thought they were 14,000 kV, so I was actually searching for the wrong kV. But what I can tell you is that I wasn't able to find Happy Model 1102 14,000 kV motors. I don't know if they sell those 13,500 kV motors separately. In theory, they do. But yeah, well, that's good to know. So yesterday's live stream was good to go. Brian Kirk says, spoiler, smooth until you hit the mailbox. Maybe that was on purpose. Definitely not on purpose. I looked right at it. I was like, ooh, I'm going to get close to that. Skull901 says, Happy Model has 1102 10,000 brushless motor on their website. I know, right? Well, yeah, it looks like it still comes with that motor, so we're good. Whoop Fox says, what are your thoughts on the Mobula 8 analog? I'm waiting for one to come back in stock. You know what? Here are my thoughts on it. I think it's going to come with the 1103 motors that I really love. If you bought the Mobula 8 analog and the Mob7 O4, switch them bitches. Take the stacks and switch them over, and you'll have two of my favorite rigs of all time. Although I don't know what the AIO is on the Mobula 8. Hopefully it's the X12. If it's not the X12, then I don't know. I like the 85 millimeter 2-inch prop setup with the 04 because it handles the extra weight beautifully, and it's heavier and like almost kind of flies more like a Tinywhoop. I don't necessarily know if I would like it as much as an analog rig. For me, when you go to 2S on an analog build, you've got all the power in the world, and so you might as well scale it down so that it's lighter and it's more maneuverable in like tiny little spaces and tiny little gaps and shit. You can even kind of fly it inside the house or inside like a big building or something like that. And so, yeah, I'm not sure about the Mobula 8 with analog. To me, the Mobula 8 is about picking up a digital VTX system with total ease. If you live somewhere windy, or like if you really just want to fly a Tinywhoop big and you don't want to shoot tiny little gaps, yeah, okay, go with the 2-inch props. It's the biggest like standard all plastic whoop frame that you can get, right? So I get that, but for an analog 2S outdoor Tinywhoop, I really do think that a regular old 1.6-inch prop setup is going to have all the power that you need. Getting pushed around by the wind in an analog rig, it's kind of like, who cares? You're ripping it around anyway. You're not flying it cinematic, right? You're not like trying to do like these big straight lines where if the wind pushes you offline, it's kind of a problem. But yeah, no, I mean, if you live somewhere that it is legitimately windy all the time, Mobula 8 analog, it might be a good setup for you. Although I don't know, man, like the analog setup is going to be so lightweight, and with that big of a surface area, it might actually not help you at all, to be really honest. Like that 2-inch setup with the extra 8 grams of the 04 setup, you know, like those extra 8 grams might be a part of the reason that it seems to resist the wind that much better. So yeah, I think the way to decide 2-inch versus 1.8-inch versus 1.6-inch is mainly how windy is it where you normally fly. So there you go. All that being said, a set of motors and a frame is like $50. And so if you've got a 2S Tinywhoop setup, it's super easy to just snag an extra frame and a set of motors and transplant it right in there and try it out and see which one you legitimately like better, and then go into my Discord and go into, you know, the what's that text channel called? Swap and Shop. Go into Facebook Marketplace, and you'll probably lose, you'll probably lose $10 or $15 getting rid of the frame and motors and props that you don't like quite as much. Or you hang on to it. And if you hang on to it, what's really cool is, like, if you're going on vacation to somewhere that's really windy and you've got this 2-inch setup, you really quickly transplant it, and now your rig is better suited for where you're going to fly. Or even, like, if you're going to go downtown and dive buildings and you want the extra power, you drop the stack into this. If you're flying your front and backyard, you set it up on the smaller setup, right? Like, it's so cool to have a couple of these frame motor prop combos just kind of floating around that you can really quickly transplant out into. You know, we've got motor plugs. It's 4 screws. Super simple. You don't want to do it all the time because these JST plugs don't have a super long lifespan, right? So don't do it like every week or anything like that. But like every couple months, if you do it, it's not going to really cause any issues. There you go. Good question, brother. Flygedelic says, can you give another quick camera shot of how you've attached your pigtail LEDs? What do you mean by pigtail LEDs? Do you mean the 180 degree BT 2.0 dealy? This is available over on tinywhoop.com. I forget who makes it. Black Magic or something like that. But yeah, this is what it looks like. I put clear shrink wrap over it for when I want the LEDs to be visible. And then if I want to turn the LEDs off, all you got to do is put black shrink wrap over it. I hit it hard that time. At this point, I hope that it breaks. There you go. That's what it looks like. There's really no other way to like install it. Like, it has to be like that. So. All right. Mike K says, do they still make the Meteor 95 frame? I've never even heard of that. I didn't know that they ever made that. That's too big, though, man. 2.5-inch props on a plastic frame. Kelvin says, the shipping time for the O4 lights from China to me via Canada was about 3 weeks. That's not too bad. Cole Power says, you routed off several websites. CiottiFPV does it in one shot. Ah, gotcha. Okay, fair enough. All right, cool. We're good. Let's fly. 3 batteries. As it sits, we're going to take a look at RPM. We're going to talk about flight characteristics, and then we will swap it over and snarfle the Garthog. Hey, I've got a whole bunch of these awesome little Tinywhoop stands available. If you want one, they're going to be up on Etsy at some point here, but if you want one, just let me know. It's $10. It's the stand, and it's 3 little heads. One for 1S 300 mAh batteries, another for 1S 450 mAh batteries, another for 2S batteries. And it makes your Tinywhoops look awesome sitting on your desk. There you go. Get out of there, little booger. we're gonna revisit the NX. This is my on deck circle. We're gonna revisit the NX69 batteries one of these days. It's coming. They're really good. They just work. The batteries that I'm gonna use for tonight were sent to me by Weebleed. When I said, yo, do you want to sponsor a live stream where I test old batteries versus brand new batteries? And so, yeah, very, very cool to have fresh batteries when I do these head-to-head tests, so there's not any weirdness of, like, you know, I just put a battery on there that sucks balls. And so, yeah, there you go. What do I need to fly? Transmitter? Do I use this thing? Is this the thing that I use to make it move? And then I guess, what are these? I put these on my face and look like an idiot? Jeez, I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. Luckily, there's nobody looking at me. So, nobody can see what a colossal asshole I look like. Here we go. Fuckers. Mobula 6 2024 moved over into a... I forgot to talk about the frame and the build. The most important part of this build is the Meteor 65 Pro frame. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. It's the only frame that supports 1.4 inch props, I believe. I don't think Happy Model has ever done one. Teddy is immediately here at attention, ready to protect me from the evil flying demon. With his nose and with his beard and with his general bad attitude. Look at this dog. Look at his face. What are we going to do about his face? Why is my RSSI so bad? This shit should be 99, bro. Here we go. Triblades first. Can somebody type into the chat what the triblades are? They're 1.4 by... Is it 1.2 by 3? We're going to keep an eye on the runtime as well. But the first thing we're going to do on all these batteries is go upstairs and do a full throttle blast across the room to get an RPM number. And it also drains the battery down a little bit. Here we go. Woo! Shit. Well, that was kind of a short one because I didn't clear the stairwell, but let's just take a look. 49,500 RPM. I'm going to type that into chat. Try dash 49,500. All right. Let's fly the rest of this bugger. Full room power flip, power loop. Oh my god, don't fall in the sink, please. Oh, it almost fell in the sink. Holy hell. And I think there's a whole bunch of water in the sink. Nah, Maggie did the dishes. What'd she do? Oh god. Let's get the fuck out of here. Oh boy. Oh, yeah. So, 0702, 32,500 kV motors. Really good power, all things considered, even with these heavier tri-blades. Hey, we're also going to weigh these props. Can somebody tag me and say, yo, don't forget to weigh the props. Look at that recovery. I almost said spoiler alert, but that's the silliest thing ever. Oh my god, the power loop, power flip? What's it called? Power loop. The power loop through the quad. Oh my god, dude. Your boy's flying like a fucking champ tonight. Immediately does something that is nigh on impossible. And then gets confused by the bright lights and flies directly into the door. Oh! Why do I have to do everything twice? Why can't I just do it once and be happy? Oh, boy. Uh-oh. Oh! No, no! Oh, Jesus. Alright, well. This thing flies great. Other than the crashes, things are going well. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This thing flies great. Crash, smash, bash. Crash, smash, bash. Oh, why's it gotta be upside down? Teddy, can't you fix it? Oh, God. So, response time is not as good, but I want to say it's kind of good enough. Woo! We're going to land at 3.4 and a hover. Let's test it. Nope, we're good. The grip is absolutely there. That's one of the things that's really nice about all the triblades is that you turn and it turns. 3. Hey, what is happening? Why is this real life? Hover. Nope, still got a little bit more. So, like, stuff like that, like, really tight technical stuff, the triblades are going to absolutely crush. That's it. I ran it down a little bit too long. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Really good runtime. Bigger props are going to do that for you. Bigger props are going to be a little bit more efficient because the tips of the propellers are farther away from one another, which lets the tip vortices disperse a little bit more. Quick battery swap here. We'll go right back upstairs, get another RPM run. I'll try not to bail before the stairwell this time. Here we go. Yeah, this flies great. I've always, of the 3 or 4 1.4-inch builds that I did, this has always been one of my favorites. Which is why it's still put together. Here we go. Again, not a full run. 49,616. Oh my God, where am I? How did I get upstairs? What did I say? 49,616. That's close enough to 49,500. Seems that was a little bit longer of a run, but 49,500 seems to kind of be like the number. The big thing about these 1.4-inch props is the float. You got to keep the builds light. I've been trying for many years to make the 1. Oh man, I was looking at where I wanted to go, not where I was. I've tried many different combinations to make these 1.4-inch props work, and they never did. It was always too heavy, and you wouldn't get the runtime. First, I tried 802s, then I tried 603s, and it was just never quite right. When these HQ ultralight tri-blades came out, I revisited it, and I said, you know what, let's keep trying different motors. And I tried these 702s, and it just came alive. But what I can tell you is that, well, I mean, first of all, you couldn't use a 2G4 frame anyway, because it's too big. But I would not do this build with a 2G4. This 1.4-inch prop build has to be lightweight. And so you're going to use one of the lightweight... that's cool. You're going to use one of the lightweight AIOs. So, Beta FPV 4-in-1/5-in-1/matrix. Actually, no, don't use the matrix. It's too heavy. It weighs what the 2G4 weighs. Or, realistically, this build is the way to go. Modula 6 2024 is the way to go for this. It's the lighter weight. It's the lighter weight flight controller. And it's going to probably come with motors that work. I think it comes with 702, 28,000 kV, maybe 26,000 kV motors. That'll work. These 32,000s will really wake it up quite a bit. But those motors that it comes with will absolutely work, and they'll give you that float. So yeah, the secret sauce of this build is to keep it lightweight, and the reason why this build is fun to fly is because it's light, but it has a bigger surface area, and so it ends up being very floaty, which is really, really, really cool. 3.41. Now we'll be at 3.4. Yeah, there we go. I ran this one down a little bit too far. I'll just run them all down a little bit too far. So 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Again, great runtime, man. Yeah, over 3 minutes of runtime is damn good. I have a lot of setups that won't do that. These 0702 32,500 kV motors are really efficient. I know that in Rosser's testing, the 32,500s weren't that much more efficient than the 40,000s, but boy, in me flying around, they are significantly more efficient. Last battery, I forgot to update. No, it was 49,000. What was it, like 616? I'll just say 49,600. And then I'm gonna do runtimes 3 minutes and 20. And then that was what, 3 minutes. What was that? 3 minutes 10 roughly. Okay, last battery on this setup, and then we're gonna switch it over to the biblades. The grip is great on these. This just feels awesome, man. Like this, I really like this setup. I really, really, really do. Mob6 2024 is king. King ding-a-ling, my friends. If you want a bind and fly Tinywhoop that you can then do some upgrades to, Mob6 2024 is the way to go. The beta FPV rigs all have the beta FPV flight controllers, and they just don't hold up. Like, I wish they did, because they're very lightweight, and I think they even have like black box, and they're just great. They're all over the place, like everybody sells them. But my God, they just, the receiver dies, or the VTX dies, or just the whole damn thing dies. And I've not had that experience at all with the Happy Model stuff. And that means a lot, because when the flight controller dies, like, you just lost $50, $60, $70, you know? Like, that's an expensive thing to die on you. And so, yeah, man. Happy Model. How do they do it? How does Happy Model make stuff that's so... I mean, not all of the Happy Model stuff is invincible. But, boy, some of their stuff certainly is. The 2G4 is just outrageously durable. I'm just getting some of this hair out of this motor here, so that it's a fair comparison, and so like the performance doesn't degrade over the course of these 3 batteries. There we go. Okay. Bundle up this hair and throw it away so I don't suck it right back into the motors. There we go. All right, there's one more hair here. This poor thing's been plugged in this entire time. I did this in the wrong order. But we're done now. Prop back on. Away we go. All right. RPM might be a little bit lower on this one because I just left this thing sitting plugged in for 2 full minutes. That was silly. But let's see. This could be cool. Let's see what kind of a difference SAG has on the... oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Has on these full speed runs. So that's the biggest run that I got. I spent the most time at full throttle there. Let's see. Wow. 50,200. Okay. 50,200. All right. I would not be surprised if the runtime is less than 3 minutes on this battery, though. Because, like, by the time I took off, this battery was at 4.2 volts. I set something up and then I forgot to wire it up. Check this out. I set up my old microphone on this boom arm that I couldn't get to work right on my desk. And so I can swing this out. I just have to wire it up. I can swing this out, and it'll swing all the way out to like where I'm hovering right now. And then I can turn that mic on when I'm flying around the room. And so it'll basically hover like right above this, like right above the rainbow stack of Weebleed frames. And then I'm hoping, like I run the mic gain really high so that you guys can get more audio of me flying around the room. And then I can just kind of focus on flying instead of always trying to talk through it. Cool idea? Oh, I tried to really scrape the ceiling there and got a little carried away. Whoa, easy fella. Did you patrons like that edit I put up? Good song, good flying. Ah! Oh! Oof! Ah! What a recovery. Hello, Bamboo Labs A1 Mini. Ooh, that would have been cool. Hold on, let me try that again. Oh, okay. That's exactly what I was trying to do. That would be even cooler if I can let it drop into the cube. Hold on, let's see. Oh, almost. I got one more try. Ah! I got it into there, but I couldn't get it out. That's what she said. Okay, that's embarrassing. So, like, as you can see when I blip the throttle, like, the response time is okay. Look at the, look at the proximity with this thing, man. The bigger props, this Meteor 65 Pro frame has relatively wide, relatively tall ducts on it. This is just a proximity monster in this setup. I flew this battery a little bit too low. 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Run times are really good. So there we go. I'm going to go dash, 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 and then I'm going to go buys. And, all right, I'm going to keep typing this chat comment, and I'll post it at the end of the 6th battery. Whoop Fox says, what frames are the stack of rainbow ones on that shelf? Weebleed Crown. Weebleed Crown frames. When they first came out, Weebleed sent me one of every single color. Super, super, super cool of them. I can't get this battery unplugged. There we go. Got it. All right, so there it is. Let's weigh the entire build. Is this still on? Let's turn these off. Okay. And let's turn this transmitter off as well. There we go. The full build is, and I'm going to grab my bag of these props so I can weigh those as well. By the way, there are other 1.4-inch props that exist. They are junk. You do not want them. They are all significantly out of balance. These are the only two 1.4-inch props that you want to run. Cool. Do not make that mistake. That's one of the reasons that the 1.4-inch builds used to really suck. This is the GemFan 35mm S. It is not even coming up on the scale. Let's weigh 4 of them. All right, so there's 4 of them. I'm going to put this in the little chat comment as well. Buys. Well, I'm just going to give you 4, the weight of 4. 0.7 grams for 4 of the biblades. We're not going to do the math because this isn't really like accurate enough for that math to make any kind of sense. We'll just talk about 4 weights. Well, you know, GemFan does make a 35mm S tri-blade, but it's only they only make it in 1mm prop shaft, so like it's got all the disadvantages of the HQ tries, but none of the advantages. So you wouldn't really want to run these, but just for the sake of weighing things while we have them sitting here in front of us, these guys are 1.0 grams. But again, if you're going to run triblades, run the 1.5 millimeter motor shaft triblades. That just makes sense. Speaking of, here are... Oh, and they are 1.4 by 1.1. I was close by 3. These are the ones with the 1.5 millimeter prop shaft. 4 of these weigh... Wow, they're a lot lighter than the GemFan tries. That's insane. 0.8 grams, dude. These are only 0.1 gram heavier than the biblades, but the third propeller blade adds drag. So even though they're only a little bit heavier, they have significantly more drag, which is going to affect the response time. And then the 1 millimeter version of the 1.4 by 1.1 by 3s are... I don't know why I bought these, but I have a tendency to just buy every single prop that exists. 0.8 as well, so there's no significant... I'm sure there is a difference in weight between these, but my scale's not sensitive enough to tell. All right, so there you go. There's all the propeller weights. The build dry is 19.1 grams. So it's not that lightweight, but when you go to the bigger, like compared to regular 1.2 inch prop builds, but the Meteor 65 Pro frame is a little bit heavier, and the props are a little bit heavier, and that does add up. But the build that you see me flying is not like ultra lightweight, mainly because of the antenna. This True RC Singularity antenna is a little heavy. Like, we don't really use this antenna much anymore. It's just that I have it direct soldered down, and so someday I'll get frustrated and I'll take it off and I'll put a ORT Micro V on there, but that day is not today. So there you go. There's a bunch of the different weights. Let's swap this thing over and fly it some more. And we'll take a look at RPM. We'll talk about slidiness, all that jazz. And so I'm just going to do that here. There's really nothing for you to see. I'm going to be unplugging 4 motor plugs. I'm going to be pulling 4 screws, lifting the stack up, screwing 4 screws in, plugging 4 motors in. So I'll do it here while I read through the chat. Dan Dilla Terrible says, I want to learn some shit. Weigh the props. Thank you, dude. I did. And you did. I weighed them, and you learned some shit. There you go. I can't believe the weight difference is so small between these propellers. That's super surprising. That's a big plus for the triblades, to be honest. I'm really happy that there's only a 0.1 gram difference between 4 of these propellers, because that technically means that there's only a 0.025 difference per propeller. That's crazy. That's pretty surprising. All right, 4 motors are unplugged. 4 screws being unscrewed. Whoop Fox says, no, we got that. Why do I do this? Oh, no, we're good. I'm caught up on chat. Kelvin says, Patreon video feedback. Not my song choice. Very church friendly, though. I like your bailout on dives, power loops, and scraps. Amazing freestyle flying. Thank you, dude. I love that song. That is... Although, one of the reasons I love that song is that one of my favorite West Coast swing dancers just did an improv routine to that song with an amazing partner, and it was, like, insane. And so, through dance, I've really kind of fallen in love with this. So it gets called, the genre gets called contemporary, which is kind of interesting. That's such like a weird sort of benign word, right? Especially for a music genre. But yeah, that song is considered contemporary, and like, to me, yeah, I don't know. I have very wide, sometimes strange tastes in music. Growing up as a drummer in a house where, I mean, just as a musician, right? You go through school and you're in like concert bands, so you develop some kind of an appreciation for not just like metal. I also grew up in a house where my parents loved classical music and listened to a lot of it. My parents also listened to like a lot of Genesis, Phil Collins Genesis, and they had really varied taste in music, which was super 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 cool. And that's kind of unusual. In my generation, most kids like just grew up on sort of like metal. My parents also listened to a lot of really good classic rock, and so like I have a really wide variety of music that that I enjoy. And so yeah, there's that. This antenna just kind of popped out here. Let me get this back. Well, no, let me put these screws in first. I've also one of the things that I've always loved. It's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that I enjoyed it so much way back when, but going all the way back to college, which for me was like 98, 99, 2000, 2001. I went to school for communications, TV, radio, with a specialization in TV, radio, and I don't know if this was on purpose or what, but I really kind of fell in love with just the concept of finding visuals that match music, or just making visuals that match music, right? It kind of, I guess, makes sense because like my generation is the MTV generation, right? It's when like music videos were just absolutely everything. And so I guess it makes sense from that standpoint. But like it was always something that really interested me. The very first few edits that I ever did in school with their gear had music under them, and it just always like really 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 interested me, and I was always kind of fascinated by like making music match, call it whatever you want, film or visuals or whatever. And that's never faded, man. Like I've always loved that. The first YouTube channel I ever made had airsoft edits on it that were rooted in music. At the time, I was super into airsoft, and Black Hawk Down was like brand new, and so it was a lot of like Black Hawk Down soundtrack stuff, which worked perfect for airsoft, right? But yeah, that's always been something that has been incredibly interesting for me, and so that's why it takes me so long usually to find music that fits whatever the flying is in my sort of editing process. The 86-day real or RC edit that I put up the other day is one of the first times I ever had the song where the song drove everything else. I have always found music that fits the video, not the other way around. And that was actually really cool to have that song. I just found that song talking about Chirrenos, and then I was like, yo, I have to do an edit to this song. And so I got in touch with the local drift guys, and I was like, yo, can you guys bring out a bunch of AE86s, AE86 bodies for your drift cars on such and such a date? I want to do something cool. And they did, and it just happened to coincide with 86 Day. 86 Day being the date, 8. I guess it wasn't August. I don't know, whatever. Maybe I flew that in August, maybe not. But yeah, on August 6th every year, which is 8/6. So the Toyota Trueno, or Sprinter Trueno, The chassis code is AE86. This is the car from... This is the super famous little Toyota from Initial D. And so everybody knows that. Everybody in the know knows that car. Everybody that's super car nerd knows that car as the AE86. And so, yeah. Come on, get in there. You fart. There it is. Okay, we're good. Jonah says, I stumbled upon yesterday live stream looking forward the Mobula 8 frame with O4 build. Please test Brain3D canopy. I will not test the Brain3D canopy. It is too big, it is too heavy, and it doesn't work with the ND filters. So sorry, but there are other canopies that you should run rather than that Brain, unless there's some specific reason that you want that giant canopy. But yeah, the fact that it won't accept ND filters is a bit of a deal breaker for me. What you want is either one of the Happy Model canopies, either the one that takes ND filters or the one that doesn't. Those are absolutely the canopies to go with. They're going to save you a ton of weight. And so yeah, stick with one of those two. I have loads of content on that Mobula 8 O4 build. Just here, let me show you guys something. I haven't shown this in a while. Here's a really handy trick on YouTube. If you go to anybody's channel, there's a itty bitty little magnifying glass here. If you click that, you can search on just that channel. And so if you do that on my channel and you search for Mob 8, you won't find anything. But if you search for Mobula 8, you will find a bunch. Dialing in the Mobula 8 O4. Why is it only finding that one? Well, regardless, lots of content in this live stream from 2 months ago about the Mobula 8 O4. Looks like I tested 3 different motors on it. How is that the only... Hold on. I'm pretty sure that there's more than just that live stream. So if we go to live, it said that was 2 months ago. So if we just scroll down to 2 months ago, here we go. And you just look around in here, there's bound to be at least one more Mobula 8 live stream with lots of flight footage and me talking about it and whatnot. 2 months ago seems awful recent though. Was I not? It was longer. It's been longer than that since I was all over that thing, wasn't it? Real quick, let's just see. Here you go. Best 2-inch whoop prop. There's one. This one is going to have... the only 2-inch build that I have has been this one. So there's me being me. This is when I had it on the Mobula... Well, no, yeah, here's the Mobula 7 O4. Oh, hey, there you go. Do 2-inch Tinywhoop suck? So there's 3 live streams for you. There's 6 hours of content for you about the Mobula 8 O4. I just didn't use Mobula 8 in the stream titles. So yeah, there you go. I don't know if I'll do another live stream about that. Since I've talked about it a bunch. I don't know if I'll do another live stream about the Mobula 8. Hey, if you want a edit with that I flew with the Mobula 8 over on my Patreon, if you use the tag edits, there's a partially finished edit on Patreon, early access, that I flew with the Mobula 8 in Long Beach, California, actually, with all kinds of really cool stuff. Wait, was that the Mobula 8? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So there you go. CiottiFPV.com. Hit the Patreon button. Join for as little as $3 a month. It's only 10 cents a day. And you'll have access to an entire edit, like a cinematic edit, with the Mobula 8 O4. That edit and the jello in that edit is the reason why I'm only going to be putting a canopy on it that has an ND filter. The rig is so incredibly capable out in the world, diving buildings, railing around, but flying it in super bright sunlight without an ND filter, there's nothing that you can do about the jello. And so, yeah, I can't justify using that Mobile 8 canopy because there's no provisions for an ND filter, unfortunately. Also, one of the reasons that contemporary music sort of works for me in my edits is that I am, at heart, a cinematic FPV pilot, and it's a little bit more chill, and it fits the way that I fly a lot better. So there's that. The edit that I put up earlier, though, is I was nose down. I mean, the Siren F3 split has lots of power, and I have like 25, 30 degrees of up tilt, so like it's charging forward. That's a pretty action sort of driven bit of flying there. Like I'm cruising 30, 40 miles an hour pretty much the entire time, but in a way that is relatively smooth. Enough yapping, more flying. We've got the biblades on here. Ooh, let's weigh it. I don't remember what the weight was a minute ago, and it should only be 0.1 of a gram lighter now. Yeah, no, this is stupid. There's no reason to weigh it right now. It's 0.1 of a gram less. 18.9 grams. There you go. And the scale is probably not there. It is 19.0. It was 19.1 before. So yeah, that makes sense. I didn't need to do that, but I did anyway. Here we go. Biblades. They should be spinning the right direction because on Weebleed, Tinywhoop, and Happy Model motors, there are little red dots on some of the connectors, and there are no little red dots on other connectors. When there is a red dot, that means that that motor spins clockwise. So if you always put the red dot motors on motor 1 and 4 on all of your frames, you will never have to reverse motor direction in Betaflight ever again. It's really, really nice. Sometimes, though, I've changed the motor plugs, and it will bite me in the ass. We will see if that's the case in 3, 2, 1. Nope, we're good. Cool, biblades, here we go. Straight upstairs, full throttle rip. I can already feel the difference in response time. Here we go. In the corner. So I did a little bit of a shorter one, just like I did last time. Whoa, 54,600. Jesus. Keep in mind, though, that these propellers only have 2 blades, so they're going to spin faster. You know, the fact that that RPM is a lot higher doesn't mean that they're making any more thrust. Whew. Hey, what was that? Woo! Yeah, the response time is definitely better. These are quite a bit noisier, as you can probably hear. Yeah, it's way crisper. Yeah, you can really tell. But again, the response time on the other ones, it wasn't bad. It's very easy to be like, oh, this is better. Because the response time is better. That's not necessarily true. I ain't gonna be able to get out of here. It's just different, you know, not better, just different. You could make the argument that quicker response time is going to allow you to make quicker corrections. Well, you're not going to make quicker corrections, but the quad is going to react quicker to the corrections that you make. So you could certainly say that response time will make you crash less and stuff like that, you know. I don't know about that, because especially when you're comparing a bi versus a tri, because the tri-blade is going to have more grip, and it's going to go where you want it to a little bit more, and that could very easily have more of an effect on you crashing, you know what I mean? Woo. I'm starting to really kind of cork these out and not cork them out, over rotate these and fly that backwards because I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to go through that weebleed gate, but it's completely blind. Ah, I think it looks pretty slick though. When you get stuck under something like this, sometimes you're just doomed. Sometimes you can wiggle it out though. You're gonna push into it, and you're trying to like de-wedge it. In the past, I've liked the way that these biblades fly better. Most of the way through one battery in, I'm kind of there. Ooh, didn't catch that dive at the bottom, though. But again, it's so easy to just be like, yes, more response time, more better. Oh god, I tried to do the desk power loop. I'll tell you what, though. It doesn't feel that much more slidey. Runtime 3 minutes and 7 seconds, so we didn't really gain much, if any, runtime. It does not feel that much more slippery. It definitely feels a little faster, and the response time is absolutely noticeable. But, like, I'm not sliding all over the place, banging into walls and shit, you know? More than I normally do, at least. But, boy, a 1mm motor shaft on a 19-gram rig, you're gonna go through some motors. Whoa, okay, easy, fella. What was that about? So that was a flyaway. There's another flyaway. Let's go for 3. I was being very lazy trying to bring it back to myself. I need to go get it, and we need to figure out what the hell's going on. So, lately, and when I say lately, what I mean is over the last couple of years, HQ Tinywhoop props have been significantly better balanced than gem fans. None of these props are banged up. That's what we're running into right now. The tune that I had on this with the triblades was relatively aggressive. Wow, that's unflyable like that. Usually it'll go away. Come on, fucker. Stop! Oh, God. Oh, this is gonna kill the fucking battery. I just wanted to land it on the goddamn desk. Oh, look, I got it right next to myself. So, wow, yeah, okay. That's, man, it just kept oscillating there. That was something else. Let me move this ELRS antenna around a little bit to make absolutely sure that that's not the problem. But pretty consistently, the HQ props are better balanced, and that matters. You know, this is now in a place where I'm gonna have to back this tune down. Super weird that it flew an entire battery with no problems, and now all of a sudden we have issues. But welcome to Tinywhooping. Nothing ever makes any sense. It was probably right on the edge of wanting to oscillate that last battery. Just moving a couple things around, pushing on the motor wires a little bit, getting them a little bit more tucked in. Let's see if that has helped. Core temperature's real hot. Nope. Wowee. Okay. Let me Let me try one more thing. Before we back the tune down, let me actually try loosening a couple of these screws, just in case like there's some weirdness with the canopy pushing against the frame or some weird shit like that. So let's just take a half a turn out of the front 3 screws and see if that helps at all. It shouldn't, but it's worth a shot. I'm gonna put a half a turn back into these 3 and see if the problem comes back. One, 2, 3. Okay. Welcome to Tinywhooping. Nothing ever makes any sense. This is exactly as it was a minute ago when it was oscillating and flying away. But it didn't do this on the full RPM run is totally worthless now. This battery is like pretty much dead. Woo! But there's a real thing when it comes to the biblades versus the triblades. The biblades are from GemFan, and they're not going to be as well balanced as the tris. I ran the exact same tune on both of these, and for one battery, everything was fine. And now for the rest of this battery, it's fine. But, hey. Oh, no! Super weird, man. Sometimes these fuckers just get really upset for, like, no good reason. And, you gotta just put a screwdriver on them, and then magically they'll come back to life. Weirdest shit in the world. 3 point... Nah. Another couple seconds here. Oh, boy. Although this runtime doesn't make a shit bit of difference. Still got 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's pretty good. When it starts oscillating like that, what's happening is that it's pushing it's speeding up the motor as almost as hard as it can, and then it's breaking the motor down as hard as it can. It is like the most abusive thing that you can possibly do to the ESC, to the motors, to the whole powertrain. And so, you know, when it was oscillating like that, it was hammering the shit out of the battery. You could probably see it by the battery voltage dumping down. Did anybody notice what the amps were when it was doing that? It is probably like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 amps. It's working hard when it's oscillating, man. It doesn't like doing that. All right, last battery. Hopefully it doesn't try to fly away on its own so we can go upstairs on a fresh battery. Yep, it's totally fine all of a sudden. Very weird. I guess maybe I had the battery sitting in there weird or something like that. Super strange. All right, let's try to get a big one here. Oh! 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 Oh my God. Oh no, I killed it. Oh, it's dead. Oh. Oh no. Well, that was the weirdest thing ever. There was a hair there's a big long hair on it that managed to wrap itself from the motor out around the The duct. That was super weird. It might actually not be dead. Wow, that was a hell of a hit, though. Holy shit on a shingle. That was brutal. Okay, so let's pull this prop off, because this is an aggressive hair. Okay, there we go. Dude, if this thing still works, that's ridiculous. It's gonna. That was just vicious. I'm putting the prop on upside down. Let's not do that. That was a heinous display of flying. I pulled up just at the last second, but it was too late. Wowee. It's fine. That is impressive, man. And that was a shitload of RPM. 54,480. All right. Wow. Look at this fucking warrior. Yeah, so the tune... the tune is definitely... The tune is definitely right at the limit of what's possible. Probably partially in part... Oh, yeah, it's starting to want to fly away now. That crash couldn't help. Yeah, no, this thing is hurting. That crash banged up that motor shaft. Yeah, it's super angry. Oh! 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 Come on. Here's what I'm trying to do. Ugh. I'm trying to go backwards through that gate. Oh, jeez. Look at that float, man. The float of these 1.4-inch props is delightful. Oh, man. This thing is hurting. Oh, yeah. It don't want to hover. It's like... Ooh. Listen to it. Hold on. Let's go into turtle mode, and I'm going to see how banged up that motor is. So let's spin each motor up. Motor 1's alright. Motor 2's seen better days. Oh, yeah. Motor 3 got bent. Oh, motor 4's bent, too. Yeah, motors 3 and 4 are shaking. So... and that's just gonna get worse and worse. Come on now. Stop! Stop! Get off of there. Oh, Jesus. Ah, why did I do that? Why did I just turn directly into the couch as if it weren't there? It ain't gonna come out of here, is it? Unbelievable. This is stuck in the stupidest fucking spot right now. This is unreal that I can't get it out of here. Maybe I can get it out. Haha. Oh, teddy boy. Strangely, it has smoothed out a little bit. Damn it! Nah, it's hurting. Oh, I ran this battery way too far down. 3 minutes and 22, but I really over-discharged this battery. Ooh, boy, that was a nasty hit. So, I'm weirdly glad that happened, though, because crashing really hard like that is a big part of the weak point of the biblade setup for this thing. The 1mm motor shaft motors, they're just never going to be indestructible like the 1.5 millimeter motor shafts motors are going to be. And that's a big part of the decision here as to which one of these propellers to run. Hands down, the biblades feel better in the air because the response time is quicker and because they're not as slidey as like a 1.2 inch smaller biblade. I've really fallen out of love with the HQ 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 biblades, because they're just too slippery. They're too slidey. They don't have the grip that I really want for flying around in a tight area with a lot of stuff. But boy, does that change when you go up to the 1.4 inch props. You've now got a significantly bigger area moving through the sky, right? Like, even though it's only 1.4 versus 1.6, it's different. It's a bigger parachute. And that helps with grip. And so on the bigger propellers, the 1.4 inch propellers, the biblades feel totally fine and they have enough grip. And then they have and then they feel more crisp because they're lighter and because they're less draggy. We can totally see that by the RPMs. Here comes the post in chat. Triblades, 49,500 RPM, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. 49,600 RPM, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. 50,200 RPM, 3 minutes and 13 seconds. With the biblades, the only good battery that we got was 54,600 RPM and 3 minutes and 7 seconds. This last battery, it turned 54,480 RPM, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, but it doesn't really count. And so the run times are comparable. You're not gonna. It really does not look like you'll get much more runtime out of the biblades, which you should. But I'll bet you that the biblades being less balanced is making the PID loop more nervous, and that's eating up any extra runtime that you would have gotten. So at that point, you could back the tune down, and then you'll get the extra runtime as you should with biblades versus triblades. But yeah, roughly the same runtime between the two propellers. The triblades are absolutely going to be more grippy. They're going to be... The propellers themselves are not going to be more durable, but the motors that you can run them on are going to be way more durable for the triblades because you can get the Weebleed 0702 32,500 1.5 millimeter motor shaft motors. And so, what do you want? Do you want a basher? Do you want a basher? Or do you want something that's a little bit more fragile with a little bit better response time? That's really kind of it. I mean, the basher is going to be a little bit more grippy. Flying these things inside the house, you could make the argument that the durability isn't as important. You're probably not going to go absolutely full steam across your living room into a fucking metal pole all that often. It took the hit. It still flies. Doesn't fly quite as good, that's for sure. Like, that absolutely did some damage to these two motors. If you don't crash that hard inside the house, I think you'll be super safe with the Gemfan 35mm S biblades on a 1mm motor shaft motor. If you're going to fly it outside and you're not going to crash super hard, you might also like these biblades because they're going to be more slidey. These triblades outside might be too grippy. I actually really prefer, in a lot of cases, a biblade on a Tinywhoop outside versus a triblade, because outside is so big, you want that extra slide. The triblades, like if you try to do whatever the hell that weird trick is where you flip backwards and you spin a juicy flick. Like if you try a juicy flick with the triblades, you're not going to have that momentum at the end of the movement. And so flying outside the biblades are going to give you better kind of like flight characteristics, but if you start crashing hard outside, ooh, you're going to fuck you up some 1mm motor shaft motors. So, again, if you want a basher, 1.5mm motor shafts with the HQ triblades, buy some extra of these propellers, because the HQ ultralight props, it's the fact that they're better balanced, like there's no arguing that, but in them being ultra lightweight, they're also a little bit fragile. And that's like the one ding on the HQ ultralight propellers is that they break at the hub. And so make sure you buy 3-4 sets of these, because I haven't broken one yet, but you probably will, and props are cheap, so you know, always get a bunch of extra props. Johan A with 2,500 CRCs. What's a CRC? Costa Rican colons. Thank you, dude. Tried Meteor 75 canopy on Mobula 8, but it was jello-fest. I was hoping TPU on Brain3D would help. I sure will check out previous content. Thanks. So you tried a Meteor 75 canopy. Oh, I know the canopy that you're talking about. Okay, so let's talk about jello. Thank you for the support, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, let's talk about jello. The Brain3D canopy almost certainly will not help. Jello is caused by vibrations plus shutter speed that's too fast. The vibrations are always going to happen. Every single quad that any of us have ever built is a vibration machine. Even with fresh props and fresh motors, there's always going to be vibrations. The smaller a build gets, and the higher, which also comes with higher RPM, right? The worse that situation becomes. The higher the frequency of the vibrations, the more of an effect they have on jello. So, micros, tinywhoops, are the absolute worst when it comes to jello. The canopy is going to have the least possible impact on fixing jello. If jello is a problem, put fresh propellers on, try a different manufacturer or a different type of propeller, check your motor shafts to make sure that they're not banged up, or just throw on a fresh set of motors. Try a different brand of motor. Certain motor manufacturers dynamically balance their motors better than others. These are all the best possible ways to attack jello, because you're attacking the vibrations themselves. You're trying to make the mechanical system, right, the motor and the prop combo, vibrate less. Literally vibrate less. The other thing that you can do is kind of like look at frames, look for frames that are less floppy. What's really funny about that is that it doesn't always help, and sometimes it can actually hurt the situation. So the motors and props are the absolute best things to target mechanically to fix jello. The canopy itself is going to have little to no effect unless you're using a canopy that has some sort of vibration damping in it, right? Beta FPV makes a DJI O4 canopy that has 4 little rubber guys in there so that the camera can like kind of float. Believe it or not, that tends to make jello worse. Jello is typically made better by a hard-mounted setup, which is what you had. Your Meteor 75 canopy hard mounts the camera, and that's actually a good thing for jello. It's not a good thing for if you want to use GyroFlow or Real Steady Go, but in terms of jello, a hard-mounted camera tends to make the situation better. Basically, it's because when you soft mount a camera, that soft mounting setup is going to have its own resonant frequency. Everything has a resonant frequency. If you take anything and you go like that, you can literally see the resonant frequency of these tweezers right now. Everything has that. When you flick something, it makes a sound. If that sound is low pitch, like these tweezers, probably can't hear it, but it's going like hum. The low pitch is a low resonant frequency, a low frequency vibration. The stiffer something is, the higher pitch the sound is going to be. So if I take this screwdriver and flick it, it's like a click. That click is a very high frequency vibration. It's still vibrating. It's only vibrating a little bit, but it does have a resonant frequency. It's really high pitch and it's really high frequency because this is very strong. The stronger something is, typically the higher pitch the resonance is. But everything has a resonant frequency. And so when you soft mount your camera, that soft mounting setup is going to have its own resonant frequency. And that's going to make Jello worse because that camera setup is going to have one resonant frequency. Your frame is going to have another resonant frequency. So now you've doubled the amount of vibrations that are going to happen at different RPM values. So when you sweep up through the RPM values, you're going to get you're going to get to a certain throttle RPM that triggers the frame's resonant frequency. It's usually not all that bad and you don't notice it. Then at some point in the throttle throw, you're going to get to the camera and the soft mounted setup's resonant frequency. And so there's just going to be more situations. And what a resonant frequency is it's when it like starts vibrating into itself, sort of. Like it just, if you keep it at that same resonant frequency, it'll just keep fucking shaking because like the time it takes for that camera in the soft mount to go up then down or left then right is matching up with the vibration that the motors and the propellers are causing, right? And so it like feeds into itself and it's really bad, and that's when you're going to have the jello. And so, yeah, switching canopies will have very little to no effect. There will be a little bit of an effect, though, because adding mass, adding weight will change the resonant frequency. The more something weighs, the lower the resonant frequency because it takes more energy to move that extra mass. And so technically, sure, going to a really heavy canopy will shift the resonant frequency of that system, of the whole quad, downwards a little bit. That could make the jello worse. It probably won't, because it'll absorb some of that energy. Because it's heavier, it won't vibrate as much. Because the vibrations coming out of the motors, that's a static amount of energy that's being vibrated. And so if you put more weight on it, it's going to move less, right? The energy has to go somewhere. It's going to get absorbed by that extra weight. And so, yes, it will vibrate less, but it'll vibrate at a lower frequency, and that, again, could actually make jello worse, because what could happen is that frequency could come down to exactly where your cruising throttle position is. And so, like, all of a sudden, you know, like, jello tends to happen at, like, a specific... It'll be, like, a little bit of a range, but, like, you won't get jello at, like, 85% throttle, but then you will get it between, like, 20 and 30%. And so adding a bunch of weight could shift that frequency that it happens to be exactly where you cruise, and then, like, the whole time you're cruising, the jello is just like a nightmare. Jello is a game of, like, there's always going to be jello. In direct sunlight without an ND filter, there's always going to be jello. The name of the game is moving the jello around to a throttle value that you don't spend much time at. Or that is if you can't fix the mechanical system. That is if you can't run an ND filter. The way to kill jello is to get less vibrations with propellers and motors and to run an ND filter. The right way, I think the right way of getting rid of jello is finding better balanced props and better balanced motors, or taking your beat ass props off and putting fresh ones on, taking your beat ass motors off and putting fresh motors on. That's the correct way of fixing jello, because there's no negatives to that. There's no extra weight. Well, your bank account is the negative. But there's no negatives anywhere else. Running an ND filter has a bunch of negatives. They're heavy. You got to run a different canopy. When you crash really hard, they pop off and explode, and then your bank account suffers again. Your bank account suffers in the first place because you got to buy a different canopy. You got to buy the ND filters, right? But ND filters are the second best way of fighting jello, because they allow you to slow the shutter speed down. Again, jello happens when you have fast shutter speeds and vibrations. We're going to have vibrations no matter what, so we want to try to avoid fast shutter speeds. When you put an ND filter on, it allows you to slow the shutter speed down. The other way that you can slow the shutter speed down without an ND filter is to fly when there's less light. So sunrise and sunset, there's a lot less light and you'll have a lot less jello. Jello typically happens in broad daylight, because in broad daylight the sun's very bright, and the cameras in these things have to speed the shutter speed up to like 1/1000th of a second, 1/2000th of a second, 1/800th of a second. And when the shutter speed is that fast, that's when you get a lot of jello. With an ND filter, you can bring your shutter speed down to 1/60th of a second, 1/100th of a second, 1/80th of a second, 1/120th of a second. And down there, there's so much motion blur that the jello disappears. And so there you go, my friend. That's how you beat jello. Those are all the different ways to beat jello. Great question. Thank you for the support. It's a problem. Jello is really hard to deal with, but there are ways to deal with it. The best way to deal with it is to not go on Reddit or Facebook groups and ask that question, because the insanity of the answers that you will get is just ridiculous. Technically, if your tune is overactive, it could be causing jello, but typically not. Typically, the motors can't spin up and down fast enough to cause vibrations that are hard enough for jello. If you ask that question on Facebook or Reddit, 90% of people will say, your tune sucks and you're an idiot. Why are you posting this, you giant piece of trash? So don't ever ask any FPV questions in those places, because people are morons and they're douchebags, and you won't get any good information. Can you tell it drives me completely insane that everybody is so desperate to answer questions and hammer on people that even though they don't know anything, they just yeah, it's maddening. It makes my job so much harder. But I digress. Jamie Flies FPV says, tips for taking apart 1S motors to clean them out. Not asking for a friend, LOL. If you're having problems with the C-clips firing across the room, you can do it inside of a plastic sandwich bag. I've done it so many times that I don't really have that problem anymore. You want a set of smooth-jawed pliers like these. Nice precision tips. These are made by Lindstrom, a Swedish company. These are kind of expensive, but boy, are they nice. These do the best job. The C-clip is here. I put one part of the jaws, put one part of them on the motor shaft, and the other part in between the opening of the C-clip. I push it just a little bit. What I'm trying to do is get the C-clip just over a little bit. You can push the C-clip over just a little bit so it hangs up in the middle here. And then you take the pliers and you just nudge one of the parts of the C-clip, and it'll either fire across the room, or what you want to do with your other finger is put your finger on top of the C-clip, so that when you nudge one of those the little part there, it pushes against your finger and it slots out enough that you can then grab it. Grab it with infinitesimally sharp tweezers, and be stupid careful, because even when you're holding one of those C-clips in these, it can still rotate off and fire into never to be found again land. There's going to be a C-clip, and then there's going to be a metal washer on Happy Model motors. There's going to be a Teflon washer. Really carefully remove them, and then the motor will pop right off the stator. You got to do it like 20 or 30 times before you get the hang of it. I have loads of extra 1mm C-clips and washers if you need them. Jamie is local. So, yeah. Those are all my tips. It's a pain in the ass. You just got to do it a bunch. Use magnification, right? Get your 2.5x nerd goggles on so you can actually see what the hell you're doing. Have a good amount of light. And, smoke a whole bunch of weed beforehand, because it's frustrating. And you're going to get angry. Those are my tips. Good question. Meteor 75 Pro is actually soft mounted, and the rubber is super soft. As you explained, that's probably why it makes Jello worse. There you go. Yeah, you do not want a soft mounted camera if you're running into Jello problems. Cole Power says, wait, that means that we could just hit a quad and listen to the sounds to inform RPM filtering. Gives new meaning to tuning your quad. Yeah, people used to do that with 5-inch rigs all the time. They would build it up, put the motor and the prop on, and then they would smack the end of the carbon fiber arm and run a little microphone, dump it into software, and look at what that frequency is, and then they could drop a notch filter on top of that. It works pretty good, actually. Cole Power says there's also sympathetic resonance. Cool video online of metronomes out of sync slowly syncing up because they share a shifting platform. Yeah, was it Destin from Smarter Every Day or Veritasium did that, and I think Slow-Mo guys might have also actually done it. Super, super, super cool. Resonances are fascinating, man. Cole Power says, yeah, adding masses changes the resonant frequency. He also says, ignorant and abusive, I'm not missing much. What did I say at 11:54 that was ignorant and abusive? Mick Buka says, nothing clogs a vacuum hose like some 40mm props. And then Jamie Flies FPV says, thank you. Look at that. It's 11:58. Hopefully you learned some shit today. I don't think I did. In having a bunch of different builds with both of these different props, even though the motors were different KVs and whatnot, I did exactly what I expected happened between these two. I am a little bit surprised that the biblades didn't get more runtime, but I'm certainly not surprised that I banged up two of these motors pretty good on that hit. That was pretty violent. Oh, Cole Power says the cesspool of dumb that is Facebook. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. I was kind of hoping to leave this on the biblades, to be honest, because the response time just feels so fucking good in the air. I do feel like I flew better with this over the triblades. That could totally be because the first 3 batteries I was adjusting to the way this specific rig flew. It could be because the response time was better. So when the response time is better, when you make a correction to try to not crash, the quad responds quicker. I think that I like the way that this flies better on the biblades. But we don't have many little tiny propellers that work with the 1.5mm motor shafts. And the 1.5mm motor shafts being indestructible is amazing. And so I'm going to put this thing back onto these triblades. I think I'm going to fly it a bunch more. No, I'm not, because the tune is all jacked up now. Yeah, I mean, I could certainly back the tune off a little bit. That's what I'll do. I'll back the tune off a little bit and fly it a little bit more on these biblades. But it's going to end up back into this frame. If you're not going to crash super hard or you don't mind replacing motors all the time, the biblades are awesome. Better response time. It's going to be more fun to fly outside. But it's really cool to have an 0702 with a 1.5 mil motor shaft and propellers that work on it. HQ, please, for the love of God, make us some 1.2 inch ultralight props with 1.5 millimeter motor shafts. This is such a cool combo. It would be so cool to have an indestructible 65 millimeter 1.2 inch prop rig to bounce around the house. GemFan does make a 1210 propeller biblade with the 1.5 millimeter motor shaft, but I don't really like that prop anymore. That's an old school propeller. It's been out for like 3 years, and the newer propellers are better. And so it's, yeah, I had a build set up like that, and I just never flew it because I don't like the way it flies on those 1210 props. Those props were the best of the best a couple of years ago, but the props that have come out since then are better. They're better balanced. They're lighter weight. And so, yeah, there you go. For a basher, ooh boy. Mobula 6 2024 in a Meteor 65 Pro frame with the Weebleed 0702 32500s and these HQ 1.4 by 1.1 by 3 1.5 millimeter props. That's a hell of a combo right there. You put the old school Mobula 6 canopy on it, and you've got like the ultimate Tinywhoop basher as far as I'm concerned. You'll probably break the Meteor 65 Pro frame. So if you're going to go that route and build the ultimate basher, buy a bunch of extra Meteor 65 Pro frames, because that's probably what you're going to break. You're not going to break that old school Mobula 6 canopy. You're not going to break these motors and some extra props. You are going to break these propellers. Cole Power says it's time to resolder my roll axis gimbal. Oh God. You should look into it. QX7S wires get old. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I retired my old QX7. Thanks for hanging, friends. CiottiFPV.com if you like this kind of stuff and want to keep learning with me. I do rely on your support. This is totally crowdfunded. There's no company that like bankrolls this or anything like that. There's a couple of awesome sponsors that I've got that send me some free stuff and get me in on their affiliate programs, and that's great, but that does not pay any of the bills or keep the lights on or keep food in the kids or my mouth. Look how skinny I am. I need more food. Support me. Love you guys. Be good. I'll see you on Wednesday? Yeah, see you Wednesday at 10 o'clock. See you, friends. Here's some more castle crashing. We're slowly working through the castle crash flight footage. There's a lot more. See you Wednesday.